What is up, guys? Cajun here, and today we're finally back after a long couple of months with a new Critical Ops update. Update 1.70.0, titled The Evolutions Update, is the latest Critical Ops update coming to the game, and oof, it's a huge one. Just looking at the patch note categories, we have graphic updates, item pickup improvements, new standard case collection content, gameplay changes, movement improvements, individual player colors, aspect ratio options, show player crosshair, skin fixes, ranked eligibility changes, map updates, UI updates, minimap improvements, and more. So buckle up, get a snack, and let's jump into these changes for the 1.70 update, the Evolutions update. So first off, the graphics of Critical Ops have been revamped in this update, and just looking from the map cinematic cameras, you can automatically tell. To go into the specifics, the environment shaders have been improved to be more physically accurate. The shader consistency across all maps have been improved. Reflection probes have been added for more realistic reflections and smoother blending. A new tone mapping system has been added to improve saturation and contrast. The overall lighting response on map surfaces has been improved, along with a host of visual improvements and fixes across all maps. Now, the devs note that these changes aim to make the game look more vivid and consistent without sacrificing gameplay readability or performance. Now, this next part doesn't necessarily pertain to graphics, but I wanted to put it towards the start of the video because I've seen a lot of people talk about, oh, my Android device, I'm on Android 15 and it's not running high FPS options. It doesn't have the high FPS options. And of course, we haven't had the high refresh rate options on PC with Google Play Games PC. Well, that all changes today. High frame rate support has been added for Android 15 Plus and Google Play Games PC. On Android 15 Plus, all supported options that are allowed by the device will be available, and on Google Play Games PC, the highest supported options set in Google Play Games PC settings will be available. So finally, some high refresh rate PC gameplay. Really excited to get back into Critical Ops and start streaming and recording again now that I can actually play the game. Now, this next part does technically relate to graphic settings, but also not at the same time. Aspect ratios are coming to Critical Ops. A new aspect ratio setting has been added to the game, and you can choose up to from up to four fittings. The first is the native fitting, where it renders the game at the native device screen aspect ratio. The second is the low resolution fitting, where it renders the game at the selected aspect ratio at a resolution that fits the screen and then stretches to fill. Third is the high resolution fitting, where the game renders itself at the selected aspect ratio at a resolution higher than the screen and then scales to fit. Note that this may impact game performance though. And then last is the camera fitting, where it adjusts the game camera rendering to the selected aspect ratio and stretches to fill the screen. However, this does not impact game menus, resolution, or fidelity. All of the aspect ratios that will be included in the game are 18:9, which is also known as 2:1, 16:9, which is usually the default for most devices, 16:10, which is also known as 8:5, 3:2, 4:3, 5:4, and 1:1. Now, the devs do note that the Critical Ops camera field of view is horizontally locked, so this means that your horizontal view angle doesn't change at all. You won't see anything else from the sides, but you may see stuff up and down. The vertical view angle will adjust based on the aspect ratio. Now, this feature is definitely something I'm personally going to be trying out. On CS, I usually play at a 4:3 stretch res, and then I play PC Siege at a 3:2 stretch res, if I remember right. So definitely something that I didn't really think I needed for COps, but I'm definitely going to try. Next up, a new feature getting added is an item pickup button. Yes, now you don't have to worry about dropping a gun and needing to walk over it to pick it up. No, now a new touch button and input has been added for picking up items. For touch players, the button will appear on the UI when you're in reach, and for mouse and keyboard and controller players, an on-screen prompt will appear when you can pick up the item. Some more improvements to item pickups is that the item indicator now only shows for the currently targeted pickup item. Also being added is a new automatic weapon pickup option that'll be in the gameplay settings, and a way to silently pick up weapons. Now, whenever you're standing still, slow walking, or crouching, you'll be able to silently pick up a weapon or item on the ground. Whenever a silent pickup happens, a different sound will be played only for you, but it'll be inaudible to any of the other players. The devs note that these additions and improvements are especially important for where a wanted item is nearby, but kind of awkward to collect, or when being sneaky is a priority. Next up, we finally have some new standard case collection content. A total of 78 skins have been added for the KSG, the Scar H, Smoke, Flash, Frag, and Incendiary grenades. And here they are. Now, this set of changes we're about to talk about may be the single most important update to Critical Ops, in my opinion, probably ever. These gameplay changes' main goals are to increase the overall time to kill, improve armor behavior, reward accurate headshots, and incentivize range-appropriate weapon use. So starting out, we have changes to the armor penetration and body part damage multipliers. Weapons now specifically support more armor penetration and damage rules, meaning that weapons can now have separate armor penetration values for Helmet and Kevlar, and exact armor penetration values are now used instead of broad penetration categories. So for example, I have the new intel page and a screenshot I was able to grab of the old intel page, and you can see that on the right, the current intel page, the armor penetration column just reads medium or high. Now the way the guns behave on the new intel page to the left, each gun has a specific helmet and Kevlar penetration value, and yes, you read that right, the AUG has a 6-7% value for Kevlar penetration. But that may not be the only thing you notice, because weapons can also now have unique body part damage multipliers, which you can also see from my screenshots. On the left, you see the SA, the M4, the AK, the HK, the SCAR, and the AUG all have different multipliers that we'll go over later from the default 4x head multiplier, which is also changed a bit, and later. All in all, this is a huge change, in my opinion, not just for this update and you know, the weapon rebalancing now, but for any weapon rebalancing in the future. And I'm sure, I'm hoping that they can, you know, open this creativity and these values to like object penetration, which we're going to go over in a sec later. They haven't figured it out yet, but hopefully that could be done, you know, later. You know, this change in how the game and gun stats are assigned significantly changes Critical Force's ability to change guns and mold them into what they want, and I'm super excited to see how those changes go. Next are some changes to object penetration and object strength. Before this change, there were only strong and weak object penetration values. Now there's been a new medium category added to both object penetration and object strength. For shots that hit multiple players, armored character body parts are now considered medium instead of strong objects. So maybe more collaterals? Possibly. And most weapons now use the medium object penetration category. To be specific about these changes, you can go find them on the intel page. The devs note that these changes are intended to make penetration kills more deliberate and reward better awareness and positioning. Next up, we have some armor changes. The Kevlar durability has now been increased from 50 to 100. Also, the aim punch reduction has been increased for Kevlar and helmet from 75% to 95%. Aim punch reduction is only applied when the hit lands on the body part that's protected by that armor piece. And speaking of Kevlar, now that only covers the chest and the stomach, so no more arm protection from the Kevlar. And speaking more on aim punch, there's a section about it later on, but it's like one sentence: aim punch received when any body part is hit has been reduced. So anyways, that I feel like that's kind of the same thing, but I wanted to put it here just to make sure, you know. Finally, movement speed reduction when wearing armor has also been removed. Hey, Twitch, come here. Twitch, come here. Yeah, look at the Twitchy. Look at the Twitchy. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Ow, 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 damn, shit. Now with those armor changes, we also have some armor visualization changes as well. The armor panel now shows helmet and Kevlar and their exact durability separately, and the medals for Kevlar and helmet break have been removed, but the sound cues are still there. The devs note that these changes are meant to make armor behavior clearer and more consistent in actual fights. Next up, we have some price changes coming to armor and the flashbang. Starting off, we have the Kevlar price increasing from $500 to $600. However, the repair price for Kevlar has been reduced from $500 to $200. And with that, the helmet repair price has also been reduced from $300 to $100. And then lastly, the flashbang price has been reduced from $300 to $200. The devs say that repairing armor after surviving a round is now much cheaper, giving players more incentive to preserve equipment and build economy over time. The body part damage multiplier defaults are the next change we're going to be talking about here. We've kind of already gone over the fact that each weapon can have different multipliers, but the default general multipliers are as such. The head stays at a 4 times multiplier. The torso has been reduced from a 1.35 times multiplier to a 1 times multiplier, and limbs remain at 0.5 times multiplier. The devs state that arms are no longer treated like torso hits. This means that arm hits will now behave more naturally and do less damage than solid torso shots. Hits that pierce both arms and body are still considered torso hits though. Now it's probably going to be the longest part of the video because there are a slew of weapon changes in this update, so if you're watching this whole thing, lock in. Pretty much all weapons have been changed, and there's not necessarily any buffs or nerfs. Since everything has changed so dramatically all at once, really only time will tell once the update is live if certain weapons were buffed or nerfed. To be honest, it's up to your judgment. TLDR, weapon classes now have more specific effective ranges and damage to better separate the weapons into specific classes and into specific range categories. So if you don't want the entire list of changes and just want to see the patch notes, check the description down below for the intel page, and check the chapters panel for the next chapter, which will be movement improvements. Starting off with pistols, the P250 has had its damage decrease slightly from 32 to 24 to 31 to 22. The damage drop-off has been reduced from 10 to 25 meters to 8 to 17 meters. The armor penetration has been changed to 65% for helmet and 70% for Kevlar. And the damage multiplier to the head is 3.5 times multiplier instead of the default 4 times. Next, the GSR has had its damage decreased from 40 to 34 to 34 to 24. The drop-off has decreased from 10 to 25 meters to 8 to 18 meters. The clip size has increased from 10 to 12 bullets. The armor penetration has changed to 57% for helmet and 75% for Kevlar. And the damage multiplier to the head is 4.3 times instead of the default 4 times. Onto the dualies, their damage has decreased from a max of 41 to a minimum of 29.25 to a max of 32 to a minimum of 22. The drop-off range has very slightly decreased from 10 to 25 meters to 10 to 20 meters. The object penetration has changed from medium to weak. The armor penetration has changed to 60% for helmet and 70% for Kevlar. And the damage multiplier to the head is 3.5 times instead of the default 4 times. For the XD45, the damage has increased from a max of 29 and a minimum of 22.5 to 31 to 23. The drop-off has decreased from 10 to 25 meters to 8 to 18 meters. Object penetration has changed from medium to weak. Armor penetration has changed to 60% for both helmet and Kevlar. And the damage multiplier to the head is 3 times instead of the default 4 times. The MR96 damage has been slightly increased from 73 to 54.75 to 73 to 60. The drop-off has changed from 15 to 30 meters to 13 to 19 meters, so a significant decrease, which makes it not as good at long range. And the armor penetration has changed to 93% for helmet and 80% for Kevlar. And lastly, for pistols, the Deagle's damage has decreased from 61 to 45.75 to 60 to 40. The drop-off has decreased from 15 to 3 meters to 8 to 16 meters. Object penetration has changed from strong to medium, and armor penetration has changed to 85% for helmet and Kevlar. Now on to SMGs. The MP5's damage has increased from a maximum of 18 and a minimum of 10.8 to a maximum of 24 and a minimum of 18. The drop-off has widened from 7 to 12 meters to 5 to 14 meters. The armor penetration has changed to 63% for helmet and 67% for Kevlar. And the damage multiplier to the head is 2.6 times instead of the default 4 times. The MPX damage has been increased from 20 to 12 to 25 to 19. The damage drop-off has been widened from 7 to 12 to 5 to 14 meters. The armor penetration has been changed to 65% for helmet and 75% for Kevlar, and the damage multiplier to the head is 2.6 times. The MP7 has had its damage increase from 22 to 13.2 to 26 to 18. The damage drop-off has been widened from 9 to 13 meters to 7 to 18 meters. Dude, I don't know what I did with this script, but I'm just taking massive L's today. The object penetration has also changed from weak to medium. Apparently I didn't record that, and apparently I didn't write it down in my script, so L me. Armor penetration has changed to 65% for helmet and 70% for Kevlar, and the damage multiplier to the head is 2.6 times instead of the default 4 times. The Vector has had an increase in damage from 19 to 11.4 to 26 to 16. Drop-off has been increased from 9 to 13 meters to 9 to 18 meters. Object penetration has been changed from weak to medium. Armor penetration has changed to 65% for helmet and 69% for Kevlar. And damage multiplier for the head is 3 times instead of the default 4 times. And lastly, for the SMGs, the P90 has had its damage increase from 17 to 10.2 to 21 to 16. The drop-off has widened from 10 to 15 meters to 7 to 17 meters. The armor penetration has changed to 65% for helmet and 70% for Kevlar. And the damage multiplier to the head is 2.2 times instead of the default 4 times. Now on to shotguns. The FP6 now shoots 8 pellets per shot instead of 9. The damage has been increased from 23 to 10 from 15 to 4.5. The drop-off has been widened from 6 to 10 meters to 3 to 13 meters. Armor penetration has changed to 60% for both helmet and Kevlar, and the damage multiplier to the head is 2.7 times instead of the default 4 times. The M1887 has also had a decrease in pellets per shot from 9 to 8. Damage has been increased from 16 to 4.8 to 22 to 10. Drop-off has been widened from 7 to 10 meters to 3 to 13 meters. Armor penetration has changed to 75% for both helmet and Kevlar, and the damage multiplier for the head is 2.7 times instead of the default 4 times. The KSG has also had a pellet decrease from 9 to 8. We're sensing a theme here on the shotguns. The damage has been increased from 18 to 5.2. 21 to 10. The drop-off has been widened from 7 to 12 meters to 3 to 13 meters. Object penetration has been changed from weak to medium. Armor penetration is now 75% for both helmet and Kevlar. The head damage is 2 times multiplier rather than the default 4 times. And lastly, for the Super 90, the pellets have also changed. However, the Super 90, kind of getting more of a nerf here, has gone from 9 to 6 pellets. The damage has been increased from 12 to 4.8 to 14 to 9. The damage drop-off has been widened from 6 to 12 meters to 3 to 13 meters. The armor penetration is now 80% to helmet and 65% to Kevlar, while the damage multiplier to the head is 2.4 times. And now, no one cares about any of these other weapons. We're getting to the assault rifles now, right? The SA-58 we're going to start off with. The damage has been decreased from 24 to 19.8 to 20 to 17. The damage drop-off has been decreased from 30 to 40 meters to 23 to 33 meters. The armor penetration has been changed to 75% for helmet and 70% for Kevlar, and the damage multiplier to the head is 4.6 times instead of the default 4 times. Next, we have the AR-15, which has had its damage decreased from 39 to 33 to 27 to 23. The drop-off has been decreased from 30 to 40 meters to 22 to 32 meters. The object penetration has changed from strong to medium, and armor penetration is now 70% for helmet and 75% for Kevlar. The M4 has had its damage decreased from 34 to 30.6 to 27 to 23. The drop-off has significantly decreased from 30 to 40 meters to 12 to 33 meters. The object penetration has changed from strong to medium. The armor penetration is now 70% for helmets and 70% 75% for Kevlar, and the head damage multiplier is 4.5 times instead of the default 4 times. The AK-47 has had its damage decreased from 36 to 32.4 to 33 to 28. The drop-off has been decreased from 30 to 40 meters to 12 to 32 meters. Object penetration has been changed from strong to medium. Armor penetration is now 80% for helmet and 76% for Kevlar, and the head damage multiplier is 4.5 times instead of the default 4 times. The HK-417 has had its damage decreased from 45 to 40.5 to 42 to 33. Drop-off has been decreased from 30 to 40 meters to 22 to 32 meters. The armor penetration is now 80% for helmet and 77% for Kevlar, and the head damage multiplier is 3 times instead of the default 4 times. The Scar's damage has, you guessed it, been decreased from 43 to 38.7 to 33 to 27. The drop-off has been decreased from 30 to 50 meters to 22 to 31 meters. Object penetration has been changed from strong to medium. Armor penetration is now 70% for helmet and 80% for Kevlar, and the head damage multiplier is set to 5 times instead of the default 4 times. The AUG has had its damage decreased from 45 to 42.3 to 38 to 32. The drop-off range has been decreased from 30 to 40 meters to 22 to 32 meters. The object penetration has changed from strong to medium. The armor penetration is now 70% for helmet and 67% for Kevlar. The head damage multiplier is 4.5 times instead of the default 4 times. And lastly, for the assault rifles, the SG-551's damage has been decreased from 47 to 44 to 37 to 32. The drop-off has been decreased from 30 to 40 meters to 15 to 32 meters. Object penetration has been set from strong to medium, and armor penetration is now 80% for helmet, 70% for Kevlar. Finally, onto the sniper rifle changes. The TRG is getting its damage increased from 85 to 120. Armor penetration is now 90% for helmet and 60% for Kevlar, and damage multiplier to the head is 3 times instead of the default 4 times. The M14 is the first gun to not have any damage changes, so it stays at 85 damage. The object penetration has changed from strong to medium, and the armor penetration has been set to 60% for helmet and 70% for Kevlar. The SVD has had its damage increased from 90 to 100. The armor penetration is now 90% for helmet and 60% for Kevlar, and the damage multiplier to the head is 3 times instead of the default 4 times. And then last, but of course not least, the U ratio has had its damage changed from 135 to 225. Armor penetration has been set to 80% for helmet and 90% for Kevlar. Now the U ratio gets the first change in legs and arm damage multiplier, and that is a 0.38 times multiplier instead of the standard 0.5 times multiplier for arms and legs. And then the head damage multiplier is 3.2 times rather than the default 4 times. And that's the last time I'm saying default 4 times this video, hopefully. And then some kind of miscellaneous changes to the frag grenade and the incendiary grenade. The frag grenade armor penetration has been set to 100% for helmet and 80% for Kevlar, and then the incendiary fire damage per tick has been decreased from 8 to 6, so a little slight nerf to incendiaries. Again, if you want to see these changes complete and in-depth, I'm going to leave a link to the weapons intel page so that you can take a look at all these changes there, and also some other details that have been added in there regarding damage multipliers and weapon rules and all that sort of stuff. Some more gameplay related changes here in the form of improvements to the movement system. The Evolutions update brings improvements to character ground detection, diagonal movement direction accuracy, air strafing, and landing more naturally. Devs have also adjusted the character movement speed to match that of fully armored characters in the Vault update. The Evolution update will also be adding player colors, player indicators, minimap icons, scoreboard, spectate screen, and the score header will now use these colors. This should make it easier to identify specific players, friends, or party members in a match, especially if they're bullying you.
Green, what's your problem, Green? What is your problem? Missile alone ramp, missile alone ramp.
Another new feature regarding players on your team that is getting added is the ability to see player crosshairs. The show player crosshair setting has been added to the gameplay settings, and when you have it enabled, you will see your teammates crosshair when spectating them. And for those times you really like someone's crosshair and want to try it out, well, there's also a button that's been added to their profile screen to copy the player's crosshair code. However, it's only available when you're in the same match as the player. Next up, we have some more skin fixes. The devs have been taking the time to continue their work on fixing some of these skins that have just not been quite the same the past few years. Here's a list of skins that they've revisited and the comparisons. First, in the gloves category, we have the Schwarzschild gloves. Next, we have the Kronos gloves. And then last for gloves, we have the full combo gloves. One of my gloves, actually. Next, we have two knives that got updated. We have the Kukri Fulmination and the Remix Power Surge. Next up in weapon skin fixes, we have the HKX Com Supporter, as well as the HKX Com Winner. Then we have the AK-47 Sakura. The next group of skins we have is the AK-47 Hyperdash. Then we have two of the Zeus skins. First, the Dual MTX Zeus, and then the SG-551 Zeus. And then lastly, in these skin fixes, the Arrowhead skin has been improved across 7 weapons. And then we also have some skin reworks. These 3 skins have seen complete reworks. For the M1887, we have the Sub-Zero skin. And we also have Sub-Zero on the Deagle being reworked. Also, the Slit skin has been improved across 24 weapons, but here we have it on the M4. Next, the devs are tightening ranked entry requirements to make it harder for cheaters and smurfs to enter ranked with fresh accounts. In addition to the existing ranked requirements, you must now have a ping lower than 200 ms to at least one game server. Your account must be at least 48 hours old, and you must have at least 500 kills in featured game modes, excluding PvE. Critical Force is actively working to combat smurfing and cheating, so more changes will come in future updates, according to the devs. And then our favorite section of my news update videos, the map updates. Hey, let's go, let's go. So as we talked about a little earlier, all maps have seen increased visual fidelity by using the new shaders, updated textures, and improved color grading. Then getting into some specific maps, Canals has had some significant changes to it this update, and it's the first one we're going to talk about. A wall has been added near Coalition spawn towards bomb site A. Some walls have been added along the canal near Coalition spawn. A wall has been added near Breach spawn towards bomb site B. A box has been added to the entrance of Elbow. A staircase at bomb site B has been removed. And walls have been added to the upper catwalk. On Castello, more lights have been added in the garden underpass. In Division, a few lights on the ceilings have been changed. Not like replacing the bulb, but like actually like made different, I guess. I hope. I mean, maybe Nigel was replacing the light bulbs in there. I don't know. I don't know. In Hangar, some objects were using the wrong material type, and those have been fixed, as well as a small gap in the bottom side of the jet. For Purify, some lights have been added in the entrances of ventilation ducts. On Village, a few invisible colliders have been removed from bomb site A. And lastly, for Warehouse, just some minor visual improvements. Next, we have some UI updates to talk about, starting with the gameplay UI. The devs have changed the style of the respawn timer, improved the readability of the diffusing and planting bars, and added a wallbang kill feed icon when killing through another character. For the store, the inventory tab has been removed, and store ads now give feedback on receiving rewards. And then lastly, in the menus, the critical pass has finally been removed from progression and the match end menus, thus signifying the final dying breaths of the critical pass. We salute you. The vault button now shows a notification when vault contents change, and target frame rate has now moved to graphics settings. A few minimap improvements have been made. Upon a death, the minimap death icon has changed from a skull to an X, and then the minimap enemy icon color has been made more saturated for better legibility. And then for our miscellaneous changes, the credits earned from case of credits in the store has been increased from 650 credits to 670 credits. Milestones now give vault chips instead of tier cases, and some context here, not in the patch notes. Apparently this will only be for new milestone users and not for people who have already completed milestones and got the tier cases. I think the vault chips start at level 3, so if you're under level 3 right now, you can get vault chips from your milestones. If you're over level 3 and you've already started claiming those tier cases, you're not going to get them, unfortunately. Personally, I feel like we should get them, but we got skins, so 6, 7, I don't know. The friend limit has been increased from 50 to 60. Sign in with Apple and Google no longer prompts for validation every time. The default music volume has been reduced. Default touch aim sensitivity has been adjusted. For the x-axis, the default went from 4.2 to 3.0, and the y-axis default went from 1.7 to 1.2. And then the X and Y aim acceleration went from 5% to 3%. Now, again, context, this is in the patch notes. Existing player settings will not be affected by this, so your sensitivity should not be affected. Just in case, though, I mean, this has happened before. Go, always write down your settings when you change them. It's been a lifesaver for me since I've started doing that. So yeah, just always write down your settings just in case. The need to shoot all bullets during the gameplay tutorial has been removed. PvE Team Deathmatch difficulty is now adjusted by player skill, and PvE Team Deathmatch bots now use agent skins. Outlines have been added to character and weapon indicators. Dropping weapons with no ammo in Defuse-based game modes and training grounds is now allowed. So previously, trying to drop a weapon with 0 total ammo would destroy it, but with it not destroyed, now you can still save an upgraded weapon like an AK if you're have an M4 on the CT side or the coalition side, sorry. If you drop that M4 for an AK, even though it doesn't have bullets, you get bullets the next round, right? So just a good quality of life change that needed to happen right there. And then the dropped item behavior on player death has been improved, so drop items carry more momentum and land less tightly grouped. And then on to bug fixes. We actually have a ton of bug fixes here. And for the first time, we actually have 2 sections of bug fixes. So first, some gameplay bug fixes. Fixed spotting bots being broken in PvE TDM, and fixed headshot sound not playing in PvE TDM. Fixed item inspect animations not showing for spectators. Fixed not getting kill assists when dead. I always wondered if that was a thing, and I'm so glad I'm not crazy. I'm so glad I should be getting assists while dead. Fixed aim acceleration being dependent on frame rate, and some extra content here. Your aim acceleration settings will be converted to the new system after update 1.70, or after you personally update to 1.70, as to preserve the same behavior it had in 1.60 in prior updates. So your aim acceleration may change. Do keep an eye on that, but it is technically a different system, so the change is supposed to kind of be the same as it used to be. Does that make, I'm hoping I'm making sense here. The devs have also fixed hit markers not showing after hitting a player near smokes, fixed recoil and spread not recovering after deploying a grenade shortly after shooting a weapon, and fixed grenades sometimes rendering as fully pink when thrown, which has been a bug for forever, and I'm so glad that's finally fixed. And then onto some UI specific bug fixes. Fixed dead players seeing enemies through walls in TDM. Fixed ads and offer wall not working after interacting with them once. Fixed player indicators being shown when show HUD is disabled. Fixed the news tab notification not disappearing. Fixed invisible characters being added when copying text in Google Play Games PC, breaking crosshair codes, user IDs, etc. Fixed surrender team being shown as the victors in the match if the opposite team has a lower score. Fixed kill feed notification being wrong if the killer is dead. Fixed the money icon being shown in the wrong place in the money change pop-up. Fixed completed mission showing both a checkmark and a mission icon at the same time. And last but not least, fixed the update watermark breaking sometimes. And that is it. Oh, whew. That was a ton of changes. Right now my recording's at 42 minutes and 33 seconds as I'm recording. But real quick, I can just tell y'all that Critical Force have been putting in the hours doing things for this update. You know, Magic, Nigel, Kier, off the top of my head, you know, have been bringing this stuff to us in PTP to have it tested. They're not necessarily the ones working on it, but they, you know, other devs go to them because they three work with PTP, you know, send their stuff over to them to say, hey, can you give this to PTP for them to test? You know, so Magic, Nigel, Kier, a couple other devs I can't think of off the top of my head. I tried to look in the Discord thing, and I couldn't find the ones I was looking for. I'm sorry if you're not mentioned. Please don't hate me. But again, they have been working on these changes for months, and even some of these features dating back to last year, I'm pretty sure, especially these gun reworks and stuff like that. So a huge prop to everyone on the dev team. 2026 I think really is the turning point of how Critical Ops can, you know, make a turnaround, and you know, it is the turning point of what Critical Ops can make itself and its future. So I'm really excited to see big updates like this, but at the same time, I'm kind of curious on how they can keep this up and keep this pace throughout the year, because, well, at least in PTP, we don't, you know, we haven't started helping with anything big yet. Or have we? The world may never know. Anyway, guys, that's it from me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And tell me what your favorite part of the update is in the comments down below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.